All right, welcome back. Today I've decided that we need to do some refactoring. A lot of these files and some of the functions are just too large, and I think that's one of the reasons why um, why it's taking so long for Claude to come back with some changes. You may have noticed that, at least to me, it seems like it's taking longer. So to me, if those files are smaller, the functions are smaller, it can read those better, much like a human, and it will be able to work faster. So we're going to do some refactoring. I've written down a whole bunch of refactorings that I think we need, but I want to see what Claude does. And so I've come up with this prompt. Analyze the code and suggest some refactorings we could do. Some problems I see our files are too large and some functions are too long. Functions should generally be no longer than a screenful, and files should only contain related functionality. A common problem is to switch statements where each case has code that could probably be moved into a function. Another example is the tests. The test files are too large. They should probably be split up where each file only contains related tests, such as all tests related to scanning an integer would be in one file, and all tests related to scanning strings would be in another, and so on. So I've never done this before. My first time refactoring with AI. So let's give this a shot and see what happens. It's reading all the source files. And again, please like and subscribe. And if you like my work, there's a link below where you can buy me a coffee and support my work. And also please comment what you'd like to see me do. Maybe do something differently, something we haven't done before. Please let me know. Alright, so it wants to proceed with an awk command. Sure, I'll always allow that. I expect this to take quite a long time because it's like I said, it's got to read every source file and read the whole thing. Looks like it may have some findings already. It's trying to validate those. It's going to write the plan. Now I wonder, maybe I've been too ambitious in this prompt. Maybe I should have just focused on some certain files first, but here we are. We're going to do the whole code base at one time. All right, here's our plan. Let's see what it has come up with. Okay, the code base is well tested and architecturally sound, but several files have grown too large and some functions take on too many responsibilities. The key issues are Lexer text at 2. Yep, that's one of the things I identified. Lexer.swift. Yep. Eval, Swift eval function. Yep. Core Swift. Yep. Okay, refactoring number 1. Split Lexer test Swift. Split it up, okay? This file has already marked sections that map directly to file. Split at each logical boundary. Integer tests. Ratio test, floating point literals and ratios. I don't know why it grouped those together. We'll maybe tell it to split those. String tests, character tests, symbol and keyword tests. It's grouped a whole bunch of things. Maybe those should be split out. And just general token tests. I think those are okay to be together. Each file gets its own suite struct. The original Lexer test was deleted. Okay. Refactoring number 2, split evaluator tests. Literal tests, okay. I would have done it differently, but I think that's a valid split. Special form tests, functional call tests, error tests, okay. Refactoring 3, split parser tests. Parser literal tests, special forms, and errors, okay? Refactoring number 4, extract special forms from eval in eval Swift. Eval is 136 lines, extract each special form to its own private method on evaluator. Yes, that's exactly what I would do. The main eval becomes a short dispatcher, exactly. Refactoring for number 5, dry up arithmetic in core Swift. The 5 functions each repeat the same 9-case pattern. Extract a numeric conversion helper that converts both operations to a common type, then applies a typed closure. Okay. Each arithmetic function then matches only 3 cases. After conversion limiting, this reduces core Swift. Okay. Refactoring number 6. Split lexer.swift into focused files. Lexer.swift, token error, main next token, okay, lex numbers, okay, lex strings, lex symbols. All right. I'm not sure you need to split them into files, but that's a legit course. The scanning methods become internal, so lexer next token, call them no public API changes. Critical files, lexer test, evaluator test, Suggested order, test file splits, purely mechanical, no logical change, saved as first. Eval.swift, special form extraction, core.swift, where each step must pass. Okay, that sounds great. I want to tell it some additional things. What was it I wanted to say? In the lexer. In the lexer refactoring, you don't put together ratio and float tests, but split those as well. Same with symbol and keyword tests. I have to type blindly. I don't know why Claude isn't wrapping. I think that's good for now. It's a good start. Once we see that, what it does, I may do some other things. So let's hit return. Have it update the plan. Okay, let's review this quickly. So yeah, it split those up, which is what we requested. And this is a new option, but I'm not going to do it. We're just going to say auto accept edits. It's starting with the lexer tests. I may edit out these long pauses where I'm waiting for something to happen. If you don't like that, you want me to keep these pauses in, please let me know in the comments below. Alright, it's going to do all the splits for the lexer tests. In parallel, it says. Alright, it's created the integer tests. And some lexer symbol tests. Lexer float tests. I would think this would happen at a faster rate, but I guess not. We got ratio tests now. and string tests, character tests, keyword tests, token tests, it's ready to run the tests and make sure that everything still runs. They pass. Now it's going to do split up the evaluator tests and the parser tests. And now you see how many files I have, so I'm going to tell it later to group these into folders, related tests into folders. The one thought that just occurred to me is, do LLMs handle more smaller files or one larger files? Because is it going to know, like, if we add additional character functionality, does it know to add it to the Lexer character tests, and rather than just the end of some random file? My guess is it will handle that fine, but I guess we'll see when we get to that point. Okay, it's ready to write the evaluator tests, splits. Okay, we got evaluator literals, evaluator special forms, evaluator FN tests. A couple more files to go for evaluators. Syntax quote tests and macro tests. Now it's running all the tests and they all pass. Now it's going to do parser tests. It's read the parser tests. It's going to split them up now. We've got parser integer tests. It must be hitting a limit or something. It's compacting our conversation. I should say not a limit, but the context window. It's hitting nearing the size of the context window. Which, if I am correct, I think that's like a megabyte. It's a lot. All right, it's compacted our conversation. It's still reading the parser tests. It's going to create the files, 3 remaining files. There come parser float tests. Parser ratio tests. Parser literal tests. Parser list vector tests. I maybe should have told it to split those into 2. Special forms tests. And now it's running the tests. And they all pass. Now it's going to do our 4th refactoring, extracting special forms from eval in eval.swift. Yeah, I think a bit more off than I could chew in this one. Should have done smaller refactorings, but so far it seems to be doing a pretty good job. It's going to extract each special forms to its own private method for evaluation. Now it's running the tests, and they've all passed. Now we're moving on to the 5th refactoring, which is to dry up all the native arithmetic functions in core.swift. Now it's running the tests. Oh, now it's going to split up lexer.swift into focused files. which is our last refactoring. Deleting some code from the Lexer. I assume it's gonna, because it's gonna add it to another file. Here comes Lexer numbers. These are extensions to the Lexer. And we got Lexer strings, Lexer symbols. It's running the tests. They all pass. All refactorings are complete. That is a lot. Let's run our test manually. That's running. Now, if you remember, I wasn't too happy with the combination of the parser, list, and vector test. Let's look at this file. You know, I'm going to have it split those up. Split up the parser, list, vector tests into parser, list tests, and parser, vector tests. I didn't tell it what to put in those files. I assume it can tell from the name. It's running the test. They all pass. So, all right. So let's take a look. Let's look at the tests. Got our Lexer test. It's all about testing characters. Much smaller. Float tests. While I'm here, I'm just going to say put all the Lexer test files into a folder called Lexer tests. I'm going to say 2. Okay, looks like we have Lexer tests. And the tests pass. All right, now I'm going to say the same thing with parser tests. Parser tests. And then we're going to say put all the evaluator test files into a folder called evaluator tests. And one last thing I'm going to do is put all the Lexer files into a folder called Lexer. Okay, that looks good. And there we go. All the tests are passing. We've got things organized a little better. Into our functionality. I'm surprised we didn't split up the parser a little more. Maybe I'll save that for next time or offline. But I'm going to call it right there. So I hope you found that interesting. Stay tuned for the next episode.